Welcome to the OSU Roundup. How likely is it that the Cowboys and Cowgirls would post big conference wins in the second weekend of Big 12 play? It's very likely if you have a player named Likely, which is the case for Oklahoma State's men's team. Big win on the road at West Virginia, and the Cowgirls rolling along with a newcomer of their own that's faring well.
Well, let me just tell you, you look at the men's win, that is a fantastic win for them on the road. Any win, holding serve at home, and we're going to talk to Jim Littell about that, is always huge. And for the Cowgirls, Braxton Miller, Vivian Gray, Vivian, the newcomer you're referring to, terrific tandem right now. They need some kids in the middle to step up, and we'll talk to Coach about that as well. But they've got young people right now that are really taking games over, and you're right, two huge wins. The Cowgirls have now lost 2 on the road and won 2 at home. You've got to serve at hold serve, as I said earlier, at home, and they've done that. Now then, coming up on the men's side just a little bit, Allison had a chance to talk to Thomas DeZagua, and just listening a little bit to that, this young man's got a lot of substance.
Yeah, he's one of the more worldly Cowboy basketball players we've had in recent years. Very smart, a lot of different interests, lots of things well beyond the game of basketball, comes from a family of educators, a really interesting guy. You'll want to stick around for that piece that Allison has later in our show. We get you caught up on everything Oklahoma State athletics here in the winter months. Cowboy basketball, cowgirl basketball, and wrestling talk all coming up. The OSU Roundup is brought to you by Bud Light, game day's favorite light lager. By the visitstillwaterok.org, Shop, Dine, and Stay partners. Be sure to shop, dine, and stay in America's friendliest college town. By Mercy Health, your life is our life's work. And by OG&E, power at the speed of life. We continue on the OSU Roundup as head coach Mike Boynton of Cowboy basketball joined us, and we'll jump right into the first game of the week. Oklahoma State on the road at West Virginia, Coach, and it's a good win for your team against the Mountaineers in the WVU Coliseum in front of a big crowd. One of the things that happened early as you were handling West Virginia's press is that Thomas DeZagua made 3 quick threes in the game as he was able to get off to a good start.
Yeah, we all know Thomas has a really good ability to get going from 3. It's probably his greatest strength for us right now, and when he's got it going, we need to try to find ways to get him shots, and he certainly had it going, and we were able to do that in the first half up there.
You know, one thing that's been interesting with him, early in the year, he had some issues turning the ball over, but that seems to have gone away. What's changed?
Well, it's really been a theme for our whole team. We've done a much better job here recently of taking care of basketball, and what I try to explain to our guys early is when you shoot the ball as well as we do, you don't want to give the ball to the other team. You want to give yourself a chance to have the ball go in the basket. One of the things we don't do as well is offensive rebound, as I would like. So when we have offensive possession, we got to try to get the best shot we can early, and sometimes it's a 3 from him.
Did you feel like overall, offensively, whether it was in the half court or in dealing with West Virginia's full court pressure, that you were in the proper attack mode for most of the game?
Yeah, one of the things that we were able to evaluate after the Texas game was our approach to the press. You know, Texas had some success against us in the second half during their comeback by pressing us, and we got our spacing all out of whack. And so one of the things we did over the next 2 days was watch a lot of film and figure out why we had success against them in the first half and what hurt us in the second half. And we would have more of those successful possessions against the press at West Virginia than we did in the second half against Texas.
Only 5 turnovers in the game, as a matter of fact, against West Virginia. Boy, there aren't many teams that can say that.
No, I mean, and that was something that we really talked about. We talked about taking care of the basketball and then rebounding. Didn't do quite as good a job on the glass there, but when you don't turn the ball over, it really gives you a chance against them because they're not the best team that we'll face in terms of half-court offensive execution.
Another first-half boost came from Curtis Jones, who had been struggling. I think the previous 3 games he was 2 out of 16 from the field. He gave you 12 first-half points, and he was the key in your end-of-first-half run that put you up by 11 at the half.
Yeah, he brings another ability to score. We need more guys who can make shots on the court. He spaces the floor for our drivers, and so having a guy like him out there with Thomas DeZagua sometimes gives us, even though we're smaller, gives us our best lineup in terms of creating offense.
On the defensive end, in particular in the first half, another great game defending the 3-point shot. West Virginia went 1 for 14 from 3 in the first half. They finished the game 6 of 29. They shot it better in the second half, but in the first, I would guess 30 minutes, they had a hard time scoring.
Yeah, our defense was really good. Again, part of it is we didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So we were able to get our defense back and set, and we did a really good job of keying in on the guys who we knew could hurt us from three, mostly Beetle Bolden. And, you know, obviously Lamont West is another guy you were concerned about going into that game. You know, they kicked us on the glass, but defending the three-point line was a big, big emphasis for us, and I was proud of the way we executed that game plan.
But without a doubt, one of the big storylines, the performance of freshman point guard Isaac Likely. 23 points, a career high, 9 rebounds, 9 of 11 at the free throw line. In a stretch midway through the second half, I think he scored 6 points in a row. What was going on with him maybe that's been different that led him to have the type of game he had?
Well, he played with an aggression. He played with the type of approach that we need in a place like that. You go to a place like West Virginia, you better be ready to fight. And if you're going to fight, you may as well take the fight to the other team as opposed to sitting back and responding or reacting to what they're doing. But he led the charge with our attack against their press. He was very aggressive around the rim. And not only did he get there, but he finished. And then when he got fouled, he went to the line and made him pay as well. So very good overall game for him, and it led to us having a lot of team success as well.
Yeah, the epitome of that aggression was a play you saw a moment ago was the dunk. That was a good finish.
Yeah, and I've been asking him, you know, because I see him dunk in practice pretty often, and I keep telling him, I'm waiting for this to show up in the game one day. You know, obviously you have the ability to do it, and it's okay to do it in the game. And I guess he finally took me up on it and told me that I can expect more of that from him moving forward. So we're excited about that young man's development. We think he's going to be a really, really key cog as this program grows over the next few years.
Should also point out another double-double for Cam McGriff, 16 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah, Cam's been really, really consistent for us from a production standpoint. He's a guy who's got to go in there and battle against a lot bigger guys most nights, but he's got the heart of a lion. He doesn't back down from any challenges, and he takes a great responsibility in being a leader for us both physically and on the vocal leadership side of things.
So a third straight win for Oklahoma State in Morgantown, West Virginia. The Cowboys remain the most successful team among Big 12 Conference members in Morgantown since the Mountaineers joined the Big 12 Conference. 85-77 the final score. Back with more with Coach Boynton after this. We take a look at the Cowboys game against Baylor when we return.
Hi, I'm Coach Gundy with Oklahoma State University. With approximately 900 Oklahomans waiting for a life-saving transplant, I encourage everyone across the state to make the important decision to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. So check your driver's license for the Little Red Heart. If it's not there, visit lifeshareok.org and join the registry today. I have the Little Red Heart. Do you?
73-69 loss to Baylor. What are your takeaways from tonight?
Baylor just outplayed us. They shot the ball really, really well in the first half from three. We never got it under control until halftime, and we did a little bit better job defending them there. But then they started hurting us in the paint, especially on the glass. So 2 things, we got some time here the next few days to get corrected before we play again.
What did you just tell your team in the locker room?
Just as you get to take the praise when you have success. You know, you got to accept the responsibility when you don't and figure out what it is that you can do in your control to make things better moving forward. So we'll do that. Got a great group of kids in the locker room, a good staff, and so feel confident that we'll be able to get it addressed.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
We continue on the OSU Roundup as we talk Cowboy basketball with OSU head coach Mike Boynton, and back home to take on the Baylor Bears. And goodness, both teams shot it great from three-point range, maybe about as well combined as we've seen in this building for a while. Unfortunately, you came up on the short end of that.
Yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of nights where we've shot it well and still haven't found a way to find success, because one of the things we've been able to count on this year is our defense, particularly our three-point defense. The rebound has hurt us from time to time. Turning the ball over too much has hurt us from time to time. Maybe the free throw line. But that game was the first time where I felt like our defense just wasn't quite where it needed to be, and Baylor made us pay. Now,
Cowboys had held their opponents in Big 12 play to just 23% three-point shooting, and Baylor was the worst three-point shooting team in the conference coming in. They made a season-high 15 three-point baskets, but you made 13 threes of your own. And once again, Curtis Jones coming off the bench to give you a boost. He made 4 threes in the game.
Yeah, Kurt continues to evolve, continues to play with more confidence and more comfort out there with his teammates and in our system. He's a good young man who has a really good work ethic and the ability to make shots, and that certainly makes the game look easier and look better. So we need him to continue to become a weapon for us on the offensive end. And the better he becomes, the better our team becomes, because it gives us another guy that people have to key on and maybe opens the floor some for guys who can create off the bounce a little bit more, like Ice and Lindy Waters.
Yorane at center had been a defensive monster the first month and a half of the year. The shot block numbers had come down a bit, especially going into conference play. But early in the game, he blocked 2 shots, I think in the first 5 or 6 minutes, ends up with 11 points. How has he had to evolve and perhaps change some of the things he does to adjust as teams have adjusted and accounted for him?
Well, what he's learned is, he came in as a fairly, unproven, unknown commodity, and people weren't sure exactly what he could do. And maybe even in the first game or two, all right, maybe it's a fluke. But now you get 7 or 8 games in, and people start to feel like they have a good feel for the way you can impact the game. So teams have really started to try to pull him away from the basket and put him in ball screens a little bit more. So we've got to continue to teach him how to keep himself in good position defensively. And then when he is in the paint, even if he's not blocking shots, he's still got to be a disciplined defender in there. He doesn't have to try to block them all. We still want him to challenge shots because he can really affect the game around the rim. But we got to keep him out of foul trouble. And foul trouble has hurt him in several games this year. And it's a part of the learning process for him because teams have gone after him and just try to shot fake, get him off the ground and draw fouls on him in situations where we really could use him on the court for a few more minutes.
You came back and took the lead in the second half, and then as the second half evolved, it seemed like you're having a hard time on the offensive end. You shot only 34% in the second half, although you did make 7 threes in the final 20 minutes. What was going on offensively? Because it seemed like the first 30 minutes or so, a lot of good things. The last 10 minutes, maybe not quite so much.
Yeah, we did a good job in the first half and probably the first few possessions of the second half of really just flowing no matter what defense they were in. And then we started overthinking what type of defense were they in, whether it be man or zone. And we stood around a lot. We didn't pass crisply. We didn't move with a great pace or purpose. And so we took a lot of shots that they were very comfortable with us taking because they were out of rhythm and sometimes way out of range and didn't really attack the paint with the type of aggressiveness that we needed to. So the beauty of the Big 12 is we get to learn from that one. It's a painful loss, but we'll see them again and we'll make the proper adjustments the next time.
And looking ahead for a moment, next up for your squad, Iowa State on the road.
Really, really tough opponent. We've had the benefit of playing them already. A fairly quick turnaround for playing them twice this early in league play. So we have a pretty good feel for the ways they'll try to attack us. We certainly got to do a better job in transition defense than we did in our first matchup with them. And we got to contest their threes a little bit better because they got a lot of them in transition. Wigington was a big factor in that game. We got to do a better job of holding him under wraps.
Stay with us. Still to come, a visit with Cowboy guard Thomas DeZagua, and we'll talk cowgirl basketball and cowboy wrestling. Stick around. More to come on the OSU Roundup.
The most recent book that you read, and it was at Coach Boynton's suggestion?
Yes.
How did you go about, asking him and then him suggesting this book?
His office, he has a bookshelf behind him, a couple books out. So I picked one up and I was just messing around reading and stuff, and he actually let me borrow it and read it. It was a great book.
And the book is Living Out Loud, Sports, Cancer, and the Things Worth Fighting For. It's by Craig Sager and then was co-authored by his son as well as Brian Curtis. And this is a quote from Craig Sager in this book. It kind of sums up the book from what we've talked about. Time is something that cannot be bought. It cannot be wagered with God. And it is not an endless supply. Time is how you live your life. Craig Sager. Yeah, so what does that quote mean to you?
Craig Sager died from leukemia, so his time was cut short, unfortunately. But God gives us a certain amount of time on this earth, and how we live it is our gift back to God. So he lived his loud and colorful, and hopefully I live mine loud, and I get to explore the world as much as possible.
I think you definitely kind of live your life loud in terms of, whether it's playing basketball on or off the court, with your friends, with your teammates. How much did you kind of relate to him, I guess, as a person?
I related to him quite a little bit. He's a very boisterous and colorful person, and I try to be colorful. He was not one-dimensional. He had different facets to him and different dimensions that you don't, I mean, you kind of got to see through his suits that he wore on TV, but reading his book took a dive into his life. Like, for example, he did running with the bulls in Spain. And after college, I told my brother wants to do that, so I told my brother after college that we'd go to Spain and go running with the bulls and kind of just live life a little bit on the edge. He didn't have a lot of time with his family since he was always on the road working. And personally, I'm in Oklahoma, so it's far from home. So anytime he did have a chance to be with his kids or with his wife, they were always great times, he said. They were very positive and loving. And anytime I get a chance to go home or see my family on the road, it's positive and loving as well. And I kind of just cherish those moments that you have with your family, because you never know when they're going to be taken away or when God calls anybody. So just anytime I have a chance with my family, it's loving and very positive.
He emphasizes time a lot and really living it to the fullest, whether you're out working or you're getting to spend time with your family, or also taking advantage of those moments, like you mentioned, that you do have time to maybe go explore the world, to take advantage of those in your life as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he loved his job. Right now I love my job being a student athlete. So everything he did, I felt like he did it with 100%, since you never know the time frame. So that's kind of what I try to apply to my life. Anything I do, I try to give it my best and just hope that the outcome is what I like. But if it's not, I still love it no matter what. And I think he gave his heart and soul to everything he did, and I try to do the same. How much do you think that reading books like this, and I know Energy Bus is another book that you've read that is one of your favorites, how do you think that those books, after you read them and you take away certain things, really can change your life and kind of catapult you for the better? I think it's huge. I grew up in a family with 2 teachers, so they read a lot. And in my house there's, I don't know, thousands of books. We have bookshelves on top of bookshelves. I know in my sister's room, one whole side wall from ceiling to the bottom is filled with books. So I just grew up in a household where there's a thirst for knowledge. You're only on this earth for so long, but I think books give you the opportunity to learn through other people's experiences. So I think books just give so many benefits that if you don't get to experience, other people has experience and they can teach you knowledge. So I think just books as a whole is just another opportunity to learn something that you never knew. Yeah, you see things differently for sure. The Energy Bus, I think, is a favorite among a lot of coaches, and but as an athlete, you've read it as well. Talk about how at that point did you read it in high school? I did read it in high school. My dad read it, but it's always a constant progress to try to get better. And I think on the Energy Bus, with positive energy, you always just strive to get better. I try to be positive in every situation. So if it's receiving a grade that's not what I was looking forward to, or if it's losing, I try to be positive and learn a lesson. And then just living out loud, I just try to give it my best. So right now, with our team, we're trying to do our best. Every day in practice, we try to get better. Every shoot around, every film session, we try to do it our best because that's what Coach asked for us, and that's what we ask for ourselves. And I think right now we're in a good spot, but when we try to do our best, you're not complacent. So we're trying to be better than what we were yesterday. You know, right now you guys are at a point in the season where you just went up to Morgantown, West Virginia, and you are undefeated up there, right? Yeah, 3-0. Okay, yep. So you, Lindy, Cam, and Trey are all undefeated in Morgantown, which is pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot of positive energy to wins, but there was a lot of positive energy when we were 0-2 as well. Right. We knew we were knocking on the door. I kind of just try to keep a light attitude and a positive attitude, because I don't think anything positive comes out of having a negative attitude. So win, lose, or draw, just try to stay positive, and I think positive things come out of positive attitudes, and a positive outlook is kind of the best way to live life, in my opinion. Seeing the glass half full is always good. That's what I love about books too, is can shape your life. Yeah, no doubt. Continue to, I think. Yeah. You know? I think books offer a new point of view on life.
Well, it's important that we keep our promise, and the entire OSU administration made the promise that we would always remember the 10. And I'm proud of the fact that I believe we have. Those guys deserve that, but their families deserve that too, and they are forever family.
We continue on the OSU Roundup, and sitting in with us now is Cowboy Wrestling coach John Smith, still undefeated after a trip to the East Coast. And what'd you like most about your conquests of Princeton and Rutgers?
Well, one, Oklahoma State's never wrestled either team in the history of wrestling.
Wow.
Which is rare, pretty rare, Princeton was good, a lot of people came out, and, I got a chance to talk to a lot of Princeton people about our history with Princeton. At Rutgers, 8,000 people, a rowdy crowd. We went in there and kind of quieted them down and won 25-6. But overall, two good teams that I think would benefit us down the road, and we'll see them back in Stillwater in the near future.
You have 3 All-Americans out injured. So how have you managed the lineup and kept things progressing despite that?
Been tough, it's on a normal year you don't, you lose dual meets, but this year we just had some guys step up and really perform well. 149, Caden G-Feller, replacing Boo Llewellyn, who hurt his shoulder at the first match of the year. He's done so well, he's ranked 5th in the country. He's a 41-pounder, you just don't get that. He's stepped in and he's been the man, and he's acts like the man, and he's tough, and he's when I say he's nasty on the mat, I don't mean like cheating wise.
Right.
Just wants to kick your tail, he wants to beat you up and send you home crying, he's just, and he's a freshman, right? So we've had some of that attitude, that's kind of lifted people up. Anytime you have someone substituting for someone and they come in and they're doing some special things, it brings everybody up. And I think Caden G-Feller's kind of done that for our team, and that's one reason why we're undefeated.
More coming up with John Smith when we return on the OSU Roundup.
Hi, I'm Coach Gundy with Oklahoma State University. With approximately 900 Oklahomans waiting for a life-saving transplant, I encourage everyone across the state to make the important decision to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor. So check your driver's license for the Little Red Heart. If it's not there, visit lifeshareok.org and join the registry today. I have the Little Red Heart. Do you?
Back on the OSU Roundup as we continue with John Smith. Now, understanding you have some guys injured, but as you think back to some of the best teams you've coached here, what are they doing this time of year that maybe sets them apart, continuing their preparation for national competition? What usually happens this time of year with your very best teams?
Well, it's a grind. You're wrestling 2 dual meets a week normally and weighing in twice a week. It's over the weekend. You have a short week. You're in school, so I guess the biggest grind of it all is continuing to maintain your weight. You're getting a little tired and you're maintaining your weight and you're being disciplined. Remember, these guys are eating healthy. They're eating 2 to 3 meals a day. Some of them, are very strict diets.
Yeah.
You and I have a hard time staying on a diet.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
But we're asking 18 to 22-year-old kids, don't go off your diet, So it's a challenge, and that's part of the grind. And of course, the traveling that we're doing right now, it's not easy. But in the end, you do grind, and you got to grind this time of year. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, and buts. You're wrestling twice a week. You're traveling, or you're wrestling at home. You're weighing in. You're in school. So keeping it all in perspective that we can't let our grades drop. It's our priority, right?
Right.
And if they do drop, then you're out of the lineup. You know, so you got to piece it all together, and it makes you stronger, tougher. You know, and we always say that once you're finished with this, because of your experience, it's going to make you a better man, and it's going to be, you know, life. You're ready for life's challenges.
So now class is back in session at Oklahoma State. How does that change the dynamics of what happens with your team?
Well, it's a priority. You know, we're working out twice, sometimes 3 times a day in the off season. I mean, during the break.
Right.
You know, now we cut back to 1. We focus on our academics. Bottom line is that's what we're here for, and we can't let that slip. So we just need to get in class, make sure we start off well at the beginning of the semester, get in good habits. We've been off for a month. That's the worst thing for us, taking that month off. You know, because you get in habits, and then all of a sudden you're not going to class. You know, but for us, it's about getting back to class, getting back into our habits of studying. We got full days, and those days consist of some practice as well and matches. But you really got to set up your schedule around academics, because in the end, if we're not doing well academically, it shows on the mat.
Yeah.
We don't perform well.
Stay with us. More to come on the OSU Roundup.
Well, it's important that we keep our promise, and the entire OSU administration made the promise that we would always remember the 10. And I'm proud of the fact that I believe we have. Those guys deserve that, but their families deserve that too, and they are forever family.
Welcome back to the OSU Roundup. Casey Kendrick along with Coach Jim Littell, the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowgirls. And Coach, we talk about it all the time, but you get through the non-conference and the conference season gets going, and now 4 or 5 games under your belt. It's amazing how we've already gone about a quarter of the way through the Big 12 season.
It comes fast and furious, and it just seems like you get one game gone, you're preparing for the next game, and it's a real quick turnaround when you get to conference play.
And the problem with that, Coach, is you don't have an opportunity at this point to really develop kids. We talk about that all the time. Lots of times, in fact, when you look at your opponents, a lot of opponents right now are playing 7 kids with an 8th one maybe touching the floor. You guys have had a little longer bench than you normally do. You'll go 8 or 9 kids. Now, it's not like it was in non-conference, but you really have had a lot of kids get their opportunity.
We have had a lot of players get their opportunity, but we still got to balance it because 2 of our wing players have been playing 38, 39 minutes a night. So you think if you play more bench, you could practice longer throughout the year. We're still getting some guards, major minutes, so we got to allow for some rest as well.
When you look at where you are right now, we're going to look at the games in just a little bit. But, Coach, this team this season, a lot of people wondered what this team would look like. Well, so far you have had a really good non-conference. In the conference, you've had winning on the road. You've had a couple losses on the road, winning at home. Right now, your team is about where I think you would max out a little bit. There are some really good teams that you've gotten beaten by on the road. Not a surprise. A lot of people are going to get beaten there, and you've held serve at home. It's been a good formula so far.
No, it has been, and to be successful and get to the NCAA tournament, you got to hold serve at home, and then you got to find a way to steal some games on the road. So it's imperative that we play well on the road as well and continue to get better, and I think our team will. And a tough loss at Texas. Tough loss at West Virginia, where we were very competitive in both ball games, and just got to find a way to hold on to some leads.
When you look at, Coach, the way your season has gone, and talking about it again, just kind of the in general, your team has put itself in a good situation to make a run. I don't know what the ceiling is for this team, but nobody's going to put a ceiling on them. Your encouragement has been start believing in yourselves and let's go. And it does seem like some kids are starting to believe in themselves.
Well, we are, and we've had 2 wing players that are having really nice years, putting up good numbers. And we've seen Jamie Asbury the last few games come around and give us some scoring punch as well. And we continue to work on a daily basis to try to get some production on the inside game. So it's just going to have to continue to work to get a little bit more production out of that third, fourth, fifth starter.
They took on Texas Tech for the first time. We'll take a break, come back, we'll look at those highlights and more as we continue with the OSU Roundup.
Vivian, 26 points for you, 9 rebounds. What worked so well for you today?
We moved the ball really well as a team. We all got our shots. Braxton Miller played really well. She shot the ball really well. So it was a really good team effort.
You and Braxton Miller combined for 48 points. What's the chemistry like when you're both on the floor scoring at such a high level?
Oh, we have great chemistry off the court. We're really good friends. So I think it just shows on the court. We want each other to succeed.
Kansas is up next for you guys. This was a huge win in terms of Big 12 play. How important was today's win?
This was a really big win. A lot of us in the middle are tied for like third and fourth place or whatever. So this is a really good win for us.
All right, great game. Thanks, Vivian.
Thank you.
Welcome back for our final time here on the OSU Roundup. Casey Kendrick along with the head coach for the Oklahoma State Cowgirls, Coach Jim Littell. And Coach, okay, so you're 1-2. You've got this really young team trying to figure out how to handle adversity, how to handle success even, and coming off a tough road game, really good win against Texas Tech to get the rebound.
It was a good win. Texas Tech had played Baylor relatively tough. Texas Tech had gone and got a great win against Kansas, and it led Oklahoma for basically 35 minutes. So this is a much improved Texas team, a new coaching staff. They brought in an elite freshman player in the Carr girl. They've got good size up front with 265 lefty post. So it was good to get a good win against them.
Well, when you look at this team, Coach, first off, Coach Stallings comes from Minnesota, and she was very offensive up in Minnesota. Their team scored a lot of points, shot a lot of threes. She knows how to implement offense, and you guys did a great job holding them to 57 points. But a big part of that, Coach, was getting Brewer in foul trouble early.
We did. We went right at her, and she picked up 2 fouls early in the first quarter and had to set the rest of the half. And she came out with a little bit of a vengeance in the second half and buried a couple threes, but it was good to limit her minutes with foul trouble.
Well, she's a big kid that has great range. She can step out, she forces you to chase, and that allows some things to open up inside for the Carr kid. And you mentioned Chrislyn Carr. Going into that game was tied for the league lead in scoring, got 21 in this one, and she's a special player.
She is a good player, and she can score in multiple ways. She's very good off the dribble. Has a nice little intermediate game. It shoots the three extremely well. Very sound at the free throw line, and very creative in what she does. She knows how to use a screen and play off of a high ball screen.
You guys led 28 to 19 at halftime. Coach, then that you talked about it, Brewer came in, hit a couple of big threes, and like we've seen from a lot of teams, this league is full of very good offenses, and we've seen that getting better over the last couple of years. Kansas, Kansas State, all of these teams. They scored 21 in the third and try to make a little run at you.
Well, they did, and again, they hurt us a little bit on the offensive boards. You know, they've got some kids that really attack the glass and do a good job on that, and I thought we played well in the third. I thought we just missed a lot of easy shots, and sometimes it gives you the perception that you're not very good offensively, but we missed about 8, 10 to 12-foot shots and a couple bunnies underneath, and we had a ball game on our hands.
We did, and you obviously did a great job, though, of closing this thing out. You guys, they wanted to foul, stretch it out a little bit. You hit some major free throws. You didn't shoot as many as they did, but perfect from the free throw line. It was another good game there, and just a good outing. Shared the basketball well. You talked about Braxton Miller and Vivian Gray. Those two young ladies continued to dominate, and they didn't disappoint in this one.
No, they both played extremely well, and I thought we did share the basketball well, and a lot of kids found the open person and made the extra pass, and that's what it's going to take.
You guys do not have a midweek game. You are 11-4, 2-2 in the Big 12. Put yourself in a great situation. There's a lot of teams that only have one win along the way, and it's going to be a jumbled mess here down the stretch.
It is. You know, Baylor has separated themselves from a lot of the pack, and I think Texas has got a really good ball club too. They're so athletic, and it's difficult to score on them. Iowa State has emerged as a team that can really score the basketball, and you know, they're putting up 80, 90 points on people. But from there down, I think you're going to see a lot of teams who who can shake off the last victory, who could shake off the last win, who can prepare, who can stay positive the rest of the way.
Going to be interesting. Cowgirls on the road for their next 2 games. Next weekend, they'll take on Kansas in Lawrence, and then on the road in Manhattan to take on Kansas State. Hey, that's going to do it for us. We want to say thanks to Mike Boynton, John Smith, and of course, Jim Littell. And for Dave Hunziker, I'm Casey Kendrick. See you guys next time right here on the OSU Roundup.
The OSU Roundup is brought to you by Bud Light, game day's favorite light lager. By the visitstillwaterok.org Shop, Dine, and Stay partners. Be sure to shop, dine, and stay in America's friendliest college town. By Mercy Health, your life is our life's work. And by OG&E, power at the speed of life.